Hi, Beth Colley here from the freedomplan.me, and today's video is focused on helping job seekers with the whole interview process. I'm going to cover some common job interview blunders that hopefully will help you to be better prepared in your next job interview and get you to the point where you're made an offer, which is ideally the goal of the interview. So the first one I'd like to cover is being prepared. You really need to be prepared in today's job market because it's very competitive out there. So you need to spend some time going on the company's website, finding out about them. Employers expect that. So you need to get to know what kind of industry they're in, how long they've been in business, who the key players are in terms of the executive, and research any news stories that might have appeared in the last couple of years with regards to the organization. So and this is not only to impress your potential employer, but also in case there's anything you want to question for your own benefit. So for example, if you come across a news story for an employer that you've got an interview with, you come across a news story where they've had a bunch of layoffs over the last couple of years, you might want to question the interview about that just to find out, a little bit more about the job security that you might have there. Is there potential for more layoffs in the future? And that's a very valid question because that you can ask an interviewer, because if they have had massive layoffs, you want to know that if you're going to accept a job offer from them, that you're going to have a certain amount of security accepting that job offer. Another big job interview blunder is talking negatively about your current employer or a past employer, or even a manager for that matter, a boss. Potential employers absolutely do not want to hear that. It sounds kind of obvious, but be very careful about your language when you're answering questions such as, why are you looking to change jobs now? Or why did you leave your last job? Be very careful that your language is not coming off negative. Okay. Another job interview blunder is not dressing appropriately. If you ever have any question as to whether you might be overdressed for an interview, you're better to be overdressed rather than not dressed appropriately, I guess. Years ago, when I was in the employment industry, there was a candidate that I was working with who went off to a job interview wearing a beer t-shirt. And now he was going for an IT job, and typically IT departments, depending on the company, can be quite a bit more casual. So he was able to get away from it with wearing the beer t-shirt, basically because he had very in-demand skills, and they went ahead and hired him anyways. But in 90% of the cases, you cannot get away with walking into an interview dressed like that in a beer t-shirt and a pair of jeans. So, if it's in the manufacturing industry and you're going for a job working in a plant, for example, on a line, it probably is fine to wear a pair of khakis and a golf shirt for an interview. But for most interviews, if you're male, you should be wearing a suit, shirt, and tie. And if you're female, you should be wearing either a pantsuit or dress or a skirt and jacket with, nicely polished shoes and your hair coiffed, and make sure that your fingernails are clean and all that good stuff. Okay. Another interview blunder is not making eye contact with the interviewer. Interviewers always look for body language. So if you've got a very closed body language, so you've got your arms folded across your chest, or you're not making eye contact, it makes them suspicious. They typically, when an interviewer is interviewing a number of candidates, and they always have several that they interview to make sure they get the cream of the crop, they will, especially when it's human resources, they tend to look for things that will take you out of the running. And they could be little things like that, just, not making eye contact or having closed body language. So be aware of these things. Another huge job interview blunder is overstating your qualifications. Okay, you do want to sell yourself, but you don't want to, for example, say that you completed university when you only completed 1 year of university. That is a big no-no. Okay. Also, never come off as desperate. So, and I know this is really hard to do, particularly if you're unemployed, to not feel that sense of desperation, but really try and come off, try not to come off that way when you're interviewing. Go in with the mindset that I hesitate to say this in one sense, but they need me more than I need them. Try and go in just to kind of, get your attitude in the right place. However, I hesitate to say that only because some people watching this video will go into their next interview and think it's all about them, and it really isn't. It's about the employer. They're looking at you thinking, what's in it for me? What can you do for me? What benefit will I realize if I hire you? Okay. But please, I guess my point at the end of the day is really be cool. Don't come off as desperate for the job. And the final blunder, and this one's obvious, but people make this mistake a lot. Make sure you're on time. Arrive at least 15 minutes early for your interview. Plan on being there 15 minutes early and make sure well ahead of time that you know how to get to the interview. I say get there 15 minutes early because, people are on the lookout. They look outside the window to see who's there, especially, people that are involved in the hiring process. And if you're there early, it's just another way to show that you're eager for the job without being desperate, but you're professional, you're eager for the job. And if you're there 15 minutes late, it also gives you an opportunity to calm down, center yourself, and get yourself focused on the task at hand, which is to interview for the job and do your best to sell yourself. So hopefully you found these tips helpful. Keep them in mind for your next job interview, and feel free to visit me at my blog, thefreedomplan.me. Thank you.